Okay, so right here I've got the chocolate milk slider by YC Onion. If you're familiar with YC Onion, they got really fun names for the products. I've reviewed one of their lights called the Pudding. Yeah, you get hungry every time you use one of these products. Anyways, so inside this box, this was sent to me free of charge. Should mention that. Now, this is not really an unboxing because I've used this thing for about a month or so, just on testing out and all that kind of stuff. But I kind of repackaged it, but it was much more elegantly packed than this. But anyways, that's what we're dealing with. But I just put it away after using it, just so I have everything together. So anyways, but I'll show you kind of what's in the box. But again, it's packaged much better than this. So you get some literature, obviously, like you always get, and this right here, this is a little pamphlet, basically to help you download an app, because actually this whole slider is controlled with an app, which is really cool. So you can set all the settings and all that kind of stuff in the app, which is pretty neato. All right, so you get this little pouch, not really a protective pouch per se, just more so maybe scratches or anything like that. I've never used it, I've just kept it in the box, but I guess it's cool that you get one if you need that. Slider itself, now this is like the chocolate slider, however, it has a motor on it, and I guess that's why they've named it the chocolate milk. But this is the motor itself, and then it has this plate right here with a 3/8 by 16 screw here for, that's standard like ball head and fluid head screw right there. And then on the bottom, I've still got the quick release plate on from the last time I used it, because I always run it on a tripod. It's pretty neat. It can hold about 6 pounds, I think, when it's on a tripod. I think even more weight when it is on a solid surface, like a counter. And speaking of which, you get a couple other things like these right here. These are like little feet that you can screw onto the bottom, but I always run a quick release plate, and so with the quick release plate it doesn't really fit. It's too deep, but you screw them onto the bottom 4 corners and you can put it onto the counter. And I think when it's on the counter it can hold, I think I read like 20 pounds or something like that, something crazy. So it's pretty cool there. You also get this guy right here, which is a little 3/8 to 1/4 20 adapter. This is if you just want to run your camera straight onto the slider. I don't recommend that. I recommend putting a ball head at least, or if not, a fluid head, because with a fluid head you can actually get a little parallax movement if you manually operate the fluid head. So pretty cool there. But anyways, you get that if this is all you have. And then a power adapter cable to actually power the slider. There's 2 ways to power the slider. The one is with this little USB adapter. You plug it into here and then plug it into like a battery bank, or even like a little, the iPhone charger or something like that, plug it into the wall. Or you can run Sony NPFW50 batteries. I don't have any of those, and I didn't really want to get any just for this review. So, but with those batteries, the Sony batteries, I think you can run for like up to 6 hours or something like that. So, pretty good battery life. But anyways, pretty neato little slider. It's really pretty outside, so I'm just gonna grab my phone, because you gotta control it with the phone, which is pretty handy to do that. Set AV points and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, let's just go out to the forest, get to the woods, and get some cool B-roll shots, and we'll talk a little bit more about it then. So one of the coolest things about this little slider right here is the fact that it's so compact. It can fit in pretty much any bag, any camera bag, and it's not taking up a ton of space, as opposed to like, running a Dana dolly or one of those bigger sliders, or, all that kind of stuff. Now, they all fit their purposes, they all fit different purposes, but for like one-man band shoots and, getting B-roll, either product B-roll or walking out into the woods and having a lightweight pack, this is something that you definitely bring with you, instead of bringing like a Dana dolly, where you kind of need, multiple people to operate it, at least. Not operate it, but, you gotta have stands and speed rails and all that kind of stuff. Whereas this thing, you just kind of put it on a tripod and you're good to go. Okay, so here we are. This is kind of the typical setup that I would use for this slider setup. So I've got tripod, I've got the quick release plate on the bottom of the slider, and then I've got this little Manfrotto fluid head on here in case that I want to do any kind of parallax shots. It works out pretty good. So now I'm just going to slap the camera on here and just get some random shots. Okay, so as you saw, those were kind of the standard, left to right shots, front to back, all that kind of stuff. And by adding a fluid head on there, I was able to kind of tilt up, pan left to right, kind of get some of those parallax type shots. So that fluid head on there adds a lot of versatility to it. However, that's not the only thing it can do. If you actually tilt it all the way down, you can kind of get some, almost jib shots, if you will. However, the motor's not strong enough to, lift up the 1DX Mark III. So I've gone right here and I've put my phone on it. So as you can see here, I've just got my phone on it and it's going vertical and it's going to give you kind of a jib shot. So we're going to take a couple of shots like that to kind of give you an idea of, the types of shots you can get with this going, up, especially on a fluid head like this. So as you can see, you get some pretty cool shots, kind of getting that little jib action. Now, obviously, you're going to need a little bit lighter of a camera to be able to do that, but it still gets a pretty cool result. Even with an iPhone, if that's all you have, it's pretty awesome to be able to do that. So, I mean, you obviously need a ball head and all that kind of stuff to kind of pull that shot off, but pretty cool what you can actually achieve with this little slider. So, probably the obvious question is, who's this for? Is it even worth getting this slider? And really, that all entirely depends on if you actually need a motorized slider. Now, there are a couple of use cases that I have found specifically that fit really well for this. One being with interviews on a B camera, setting this B camera off to the side, up at the 1DX on the side, just having it going back and forth adds just a little bit more production value to interviews or talking head type stuff that I don't need someone else running that camera. So for solo operators, for like B cameras, it's really awesome. The other thing is shooting B-roll for products and stuff like that, for YouTube reviews or whatever the case may be. It's really awesome to be able to have that on there. So what I do is put it into 60p or whatever to get a little bit of slow motion, and then I slide in, almost like dollying into the product while I'm turning it on a tripod, so I get this kind of cool like parallax movement kind of thing going on. So it works out really well. Other stuff, like if you're a YouTuber or something and you film yourself and you want to have just a little bit of another option of camera movement, this thing is really nice to be able to get. Now, I wouldn't use this on like big productions or big sets. Obviously, this is just not something that that you would have on set. That's where like the big dollies, like a Chapman dolly or a Dana dolly or something like comes into play. But for really small scale stuff, run and gun, one-man band type stuff, this is a great slider. It's a great option because it's so tiny. Fit in your camera bag, doesn't take up much space. If you have Sony batteries, it runs off those, and I think like 6 hours it'll run it or something crazy like that. And like we saw, you can get a bunch of cool different shots. Even like, I was playing my guitar and I just like put it on just to see kind of what kind of shots I would get, and I got some pretty cool looking shots that normally be a pretty boring shot, but if you add a little bit of movement, it makes it definitely look a little bit more interesting. Now, is it worth it? Well, that's the age-old question, and I've learned by now to not say how much a product costs in a video, because electronics and camera stuff changes price all the time. So I would just go look at the link down below. It's an affiliate link. That'll probably have the most up-to-date pricing on it. And it's kind of like in the middle of the road. I wouldn't say it's cheap by any means, at least at the current pricing. I wouldn't say it's cheap by any means, but compared to other motorized sliders out there, in a similar length and all that kind of stuff, it's priced somewhat competitively. Now, but again, do you need a motorized slider? That's kind of the age-old question. If you do, I think this is a pretty good option. The app, the features, the usability, the user experience, all very positive. I plan on using this more in the future. But you just gotta have to, you know, make the decision yourself. Is it something worth buying for yourself? Is it a tool that you need? There are definitely more tools in a filmmaker's kit that I would say are more important than a slider. However, sliders definitely do add a little bit more production value to your videos. Well, anyways, guys, I hope you found this useful or helpful or anything like that. If you did, maybe hit that thumbs up, subscribe, all that good stuff. And it's a beautiful day outside, so I'm gonna continue to enjoy the outdoors. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a good day.